Hey everyone. How we all doing today? How's everyone doing? I hope that you are feeling okay through this eclipse season. Are you still feeling the eclipse? I know I am. Good grief. Trying to get better, trying to walk through it, trying to do the right thing. How are you all doing? Good to see you. Hi, Shauna. Welcome. Hey, Kelly. Welcome. And Cheryl Calhoun. Welcome, everyone. It's good to have you with me today. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Nelia. Hey, Sarah. Everyone just take a deep breath, right? It's definitely been an intense experience for me anyway, for the eclipse, and hopefully you have, sort of walked through it to the best of your ability, and you're still walking through it. Sarah says she was drained on Sunday. Totally believe that. I definitely experienced some weirdness on Sunday for sure. I definitely really struggled with it, and yeah, it wasn't easy. Yeah. I was actually like cooking at the moment the eclipse was happening. Bright Hawk played it on, on her computer, and I was kind of watching it, and I was trying to cook, and I was feeling like vertigo, and you know. So Shauna's had a pretty good one. I've come into myself over the eclipse. I get a lot of stuff. Okay. I've had multiple downloads, and I'm in a great space. That's good to hear, Shauna. Good. I'm glad that you're in a good space. That's important. Yeah. Sarah said I felt hungover, but I didn't drink. Oh my gosh, Sarah. That's an eclipse for you. Sometimes it can kind of leave you feeling a little bit like, whoa, what just happened? It's because the energies have shifted. It's sort of like, things have been kind of spun around for everyone, and right? And we can just take big, deep breaths, stay present to the best of our ability. So I've been experiencing some vertigo. I'm not really sure why. Hoping my doctor can answer that question. And doing my thing, doing whew, busy doing readings and taking care of things to the best of my ability. Sarah says she has energy yesterday, but today not so much. Okay. Well, that's good, Sarah. She's had good days. Just tired. Yeah. The eclipse can it does different things to different people, but it can kind of wipe you out a little bit. I think it's just the intensity. And depending on if you have any placements, of course, it will be more intense for you. I had a hard time sleeping last night, honestly, and I don't even know why. And sometimes that just happens. Like my body just is like 6 hours, you're done. But after I read that book, How to Live a Good Life, it's actually a book written by a 102-year-old holistic medicine. She was like the mother of holistic medicine. And she wrote this really awesome book that's really beautiful. If you are interested in reading a good book about how to live a good life, I mean, honestly, it's really good. And I feel like her storytelling is kind of fun, kind of makes it a fun read. So it can be kind of like a fun read, but at the same time, she also shares her wisdom being 102. And one of the things that she said was that she just didn't get hung up on her sleep. Like she would try to sleep, and if she woke up early, she just let it be. And so that's sometimes what I've tried to do. I've tried not to get too hung up on it. Try not to think about it too much. If it only ends up being 6 hours, most of the time I get 7 or 8. But if it's only 6, then I'm just like, okay, fine. And I just get up and go on about my day. And I think not getting stressed about it is important. And then I think also, like what she also says, is to make sure you've got juice. And she refers to juice as something that keeps you alive, something that keeps you energized, something that keeps you going, right? And so I think that that's really a really important point when, especially as you age. So I want to just let everyone know that on Cosmic Wisdom, I really prefer it if you ask specific questions, ask specifically for readings, ask specifically for who you'd like to connect to. I'm not going to do like spirit led readings. I'd rather you ask a specific question. Specific questions get specific answers. That's what I like to say. I can also, I'll probably just feel into whatever your question is, and then I'll either pull a card or look at the astrology or something or whatever it is, and I'll try to answer your question. Okay. So please ask direct questions. I prefer those. I just find it's more direct and to the point, and totally my style, right? Because I don't like to beat around the bush about anything. But yeah, so what is your juice? So put in the comments, like, what's your juice? I know my juice is living my life with Bright Hawk, and my juice is definitely like astrology and doing psychic readings. I really enjoy doing that work for myself. I've always liked working for myself. Shirley, you can talk to your mom really easily. It's the best way to do that is to go into a meditative state. And it's also a good idea if you kind of say her name out loud or say, "Hey, mom, I'd really like you to hear me right now." And you'll be able to hear her inside your head, probably. You might even hear her voices. You might also have other sensations such as chills. You might feel her presence with you or something like that. That's really the best way that you could talk to your mom. Um, I'm not really. Shauna asked, can you try to see if you can get my guide's name? I don't even know my guide's name, Shauna. I think it's my Uncle Donnie. The name came in a download to me the other day, and I haven't thought of him in years. Then, Shauna, why don't you believe that? What's happening there? You need me to validate it for you? You're right. It's Uncle Donnie. Seriously. Um, yeah. We can all connect. We can all connect to the other side. We all have that ability. um, and especially to anyone that we loved or was connected to in any way. And we can definitely connect to our own guides. I feel like being connected to your own guide is a powerful thing to be. Like, I mean, Shauna, I'm glad that you're doing that work because that's really powerful work. And one of the first steps, Shauna, is to believe in yourself. So I'm just going to say, remember how I told you to tell, if it's good for you, it's probably from your guides. If it's not good for you, if there's a thought coming through and it's good for you, it's probably your guides. If a thought is coming through and it's not good for you, it's probably you. That's probably you. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how it works, right? So, um, and um, if you I do private readings, and I find that it's much easier to connect in a private reading because then it's just you and it's just you and me in a private face-to-face Zoom reading, so we can look at each other and we can be present for each other. And I think that that's really important because sometimes, like, if you watch spirit-led readings and stuff on here, they are hard to sort of sift through, right? And they're magical and beautiful. And at the same time, I find that they're hard to sift through, and that's why I just like direct questions. Um, yeah, so I feel like, if you want to talk to your mom, Cheryl, you should probably practice, and if you want to talk to her and you want me to channel her, then that would be best done in a private reading for sure. I'm not sure you want all these hundreds of people that I'm broadcasting to right now to witness that. Do you? Sarah said, I have a question, please, and thank you. Okay. I recently went to my old job that I left, but in a different position. And I don't mind it, but I have a feeling this other job I had applied for in sales will hire me. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I see. So Sarah's saying, I have a question. Okay. I recently went to my old job that I left, but in a different position. And I don't mind it, but I have a feeling this other job I'd applied for in sales will hire me. So you already applied for the job, Sarah? It sounds like you were following your intuition. So I would just wait and see what the offer is, and then either do like a card spread, like which one is the one you want type of deal. Um, did you get an offer yet? It sounds like you haven't got an offer quite yet, Sarah. So I would wait until that offer comes through. Maybe you'll get it at the solar eclipse, which is on the 21st, or maybe you'll get it like right before there at some point. When did you apply? When did you apply, Sarah? It sounds like an astrology thing to me. So like the eclipses really started, remember, back on the black moon a couple weeks ago. There was like a new moon in Virgo, and everybody was like, oh, it's a black moon or a blood moon or something. Or no, I think this most recent one was the blood moon. And now we've just had another one in Pisces, which is like the Yeah. So, Sarah, I'm pretty sure this is to do with the eclipse. So it will be completely wrapped up for you by the 21st, Sarah. Sarah applied a few weeks ago, so that tells me it's wrapped up with this eclipse. Maybe you have Virgo ruling over your 10th house. Oh, I think I have your chart. Um, yeah. Oh, I told you to apply because of your moon. Well, sounds like good advice, hey? So, and you wanted the job, right? And so I would wait and see what they offer me first. Just because I don't, like you don't want to, give your notice to one job without, right? Okay. Of course. I mean, that's just common sense, right? I'm just looking at, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, um, Sarah, so your this eclipse is happening in your ninth house. So that's like the house of higher learning and stuff like that. So there must be something special that's about to happen and spiritual awakenings. So if I was you, I would just kind of hold out on this transit, because what will happen is the solar eclipse will be in the ninth house. And so I would just wait and see which one has a I feel that once the solar eclipse comes, it will be an obvious choice. Like I feel like once you get the offer, like the finances of it and stuff, I feel like you'll just be like, yep, okay, it's easy. It will be an easy answer. Okay. But if you have to, you could use like tarot cards, like which one? Shauna said she did a 180 over the eclipse. Well, that's usually what happens. We also usually call it a 360, right? Well, I guess not. I guess 180 is halfway around. In the last few days, I took down Corey's memorial and I've been focusing on me. Congratulations, Shauna. This is what we call a stage in grief that we start to call acceptance. Sounds like you're stepping into acceptance. Congratulations. It's an important place. Some people never get there. Some people just stay in all kinds of other placements other than that, other stages other than acceptance. But once a person gets to acceptance, that's a sign of healing. So congratulations. Acceptance is an important part of the work. Hi, Melissa and Sienna. Good to see you. Melissa's sitting at the boat deck waiting for her husband to get out of the water. Hi, Megan. Hi, Megan. Hi, good to see you. Samantha said it's been tough. This eclipse has been tough. Samantha's over in the mediums group. Thanks for tuning in, Samantha. And hi, Karen. Samantha says any techniques for raising our vibrations. So if you can't exactly like meditate or do yoga, or you already did that, the other thing that you could try is to listen. Yoga will automatically raise your vibration. The other thing you can try is if you go to YouTube and type in like high frequency music or something like that, is sometimes just listening to that music while you sit and stare out the window is actually more effective than you think. So I want to give you like a heads up, like that's a really great way to do it. That doesn't require a whole lot of like energy on your behalf. And mostly you can just sit, look out the window and listen to those vibrations, take some deep breaths, try to feel your body and do this practice where you feel your feet on the ground, you feel your bottom in the seat, you feel the back of the chair, you feel the warm sun shining down on you, those kinds of things. Like, and you literally kind of either speak that out loud or speak it to yourself, whisper it to yourself. If there's people around, you don't want them to think that you're weird or something. This is called CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. It essentially helps you ground in a way that helps you get connected to the earth. And when you're connected to the earth, your vibration automatically raises. And so then it will help you change your frequency, particularly if you're feeling low, if you're feeling sad or down. this is a really great way to connect. And then maybe you can even ask yourself, why am I feeling low? Right. And then if you know why you're feeling low, but there's nothing you can do about it, then you can even ask the earth to take that from you. So you're sitting there, your feet are on the ground, you've recognized that you're feeling low, but you feel like there's nothing you can do about it. You can literally ask the earth. Sometimes I take it to a tree or a plant or something, and I just ask, or I put my hands in the dirt or put my feet on the dirt, and I say, can you just take this from me? I don't know what to do with it. I did that on Sunday. I was feeling very frustrated, depressed, and just uneasy with the eclipse energy and anxious and stuff. So I just went outside, sat in the sun for a few minutes, and I just kind of stretched out, and I put my bare feet on the ground, and I just said, Mother Earth, please take this from me. And that is like that is more powerful than you think, particularly if you say that a couple of times and do that kind of thing. Do this. Breathe in, breathe in. Don't be afraid to sigh if you can. And breathe really loud. Another good way to do some breathing techniques is to like breathe in several times and then breathe out as long as possible until there is nothing else left to breathe out. Get it? So when you breathe like that, it actually triggers your brain to reduce the anxiety and the stress. And then as you allow that to release, it will allow you to relax and allow your body it will allow your body to sort of chillax, if that makes sense. So that's kind of I'll say that is my go-to when I feel. I actually got it from a therapist many years ago. Gosh, like 10 years ago, maybe longer. Well, it's probably longer than that. And the therapist was actually a student, and they were trying to learn new methods. So it might have been 15-20 years ago. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah, it might have been closer to 20. Okay, I'm 50 years old. 20 years ago. Okay, so this is 20 years ago in a therapy, and my therapist says, well, if you're not willing to take medications, what can I have this one thing that is from California that they've been studying about breathing techniques and how to ground yourself. And and we can do some of the techniques and see if they work. And I was like, okay. And I was open to it because I figured, well, it's not going to hurt you, right? A medication could hurt you, side effects and everything else. And I was like, this isn't going to hurt you. So they taught me, I guess his pronouns are he. He might have been trans. I think he was trans. And he just like walked me through these little meditations where you feel your feet on the ground, you feel your seat in, you feel your bottom in the seat, and you take these deep breaths and you breathe out until you can't breathe anymore, till there's nothing else left in your lungs. And you do these little techniques, and he wasn't even sure they were going to work, and they worked, and he was impressed with himself. So isn't that interesting? But that's when you say no to medications, you might be surprised at what the therapist will come to you as. You know, the same thing happened. I went to a neurologist, and I said, I don't want to be on any medications, and I don't want to take painkillers for this, but I want you to help me find a solution for it. And he was excited. He was excited to treat me. Let me just say, I could feel in his heart and soul that he was excited to offer me some other options. And while he educated me on the medication, which could possibly be bad for my heart, which a lot of you know I live with a genetic heart condition. So adding medication on top of it could be very problematic, right? And he understood why I didn't want to take risks with like THC, CBD, because that could also be bad for my heart. And because of the new evidence, he was totally understanding and supportive. And he was like, I understand that you don't want to be or feel intoxicated. And so let's try these other things. So he actually referred me to a type of pain management therapy. And I actually ended up, because my insurance wouldn't cover it, ended up on an app called Curable. You might want to check it out. It's just a little bit per year. It's way cheaper than the actual counseling, but it's like an app that helps you understand how pain works in your brain and how to manage it. And so I'm working on that, and plus I'm doing physical therapy and other techniques because I don't want to be on intoxicating medications. And the doctors, when I do that, he's not the first one, but I love it when doctors get excited about treating me. And when they get excited is when I won't take medications, or I just say that there's got to be some other answer to this. And even if it is about like my diet and stuff, like my my regular doctor, she loves me because I'm always like, so what do you think I could do to be in better health? What could I do? And she's like, and then every time we meet now, I've been seeing her for a few years, and every time we meet, she says, I know that you want to be in good health. I know that not taking risk is important to you. And I'm like, that's right. And so this is how you talk to doctors to advocate for yourself. If you're kind of like, I don't want to take sleeping pills, there's got to be some better way to do this. And that's what you do, is you ask them, is there some better way to do this? And they will tell you. Turns out that doctors don't want to tell you the way, the other way that's like not about medication or something, because they're afraid to hurt your feelings. Did you know that? Isn't that weird? I thought it was weird. But they don't want to offend you or upset you to tell you that you have to like lose weight or something. So, okay. Shauna. Yeah, a lot of people are supporting you, Shauna. Shauna said, I've been doing a lot of self-talk. Like when I'm started having negative thoughts, I've been talking to myself and changing the perspective like you taught me. Good. Good, Shauna. You should. That's exactly what you do. And I stopped deciding or putting out there when I want to manifest something or I'm trying to obtain something. I stopped putting limitations on it. Good. I just put it out to the universe. Yeah, don't tell the universe how to deliver your gifts. Just say, I'd really like this to be. I really would love this. And don't tell the universe how to do it. Sort of like, like just don't do that. Just say what you need and that's it. And my mantra I've been saying multiple times a day throughout the day is universe, teach me through peace, not pain. Great. And so, Shauna, maybe you'll have some peace. Sienna said, Hollis, this may be off topic, but I have to tell you, you pulled a card for me and it basically was what I thought I would be receiving messages, right? Okay. And I was so like weird about it. That's the best I can describe. But do you have any idea how many wild, amazing messages I've been receiving now? I'm not surprised at all. The universe never fails to amaze me, and I have stayed so open to receiving messages. And so I really took a lot of time to listen, and it all just felt so good. That's fantastic, Sienna. That's fantastic, Sienna. And that's what I mean. And it's an eclipse. So, of course, all the wild, weird messages are coming through, right? Like you're getting all the weird stuff, and it's not over yet. Mercury, the planet of messages, is going to be Cazimi with the sun. So that means they're hugging all week this week. So stay open, you guys. Melissa said, I went backwards today in my grief. I had to go to the hospital for x-rays today. And I had to go to the hospital where my son died. Ooh, okay, Melissa, I get it now. It was so traumatic. They spelled my name wrong in my paperwork, and a lady left me sitting in the hospital room by myself. If I had a total meltdown with the beeping sounds and the locking doors. But you know what, Melissa? Let me say something about this, because that is definitely trauma. You're right. That's trauma in your body, stored in your body. And when you're, when we are triggered like that, especially when the situation is not happening, but we're triggered and we find ourselves crying, honestly, Melissa, this is a release, which is great. This is exactly what you need, because you didn't go backwards. I don't know why people think when they cry, they've gone backwards. That's not true. Your soul just needed a shower. It was ready to have a washing. And so you cried, and good job. You did it. Well done. Seriously. Give yourself some props. You not only went back to a hospital where your son died, so it was super traumatic. Plus, as you sat in that room alone, thank God that nurse left you alone so that you could just allow the tears and allow that emotion through you. Because when we don't feel emotion is when we get sick, and it builds up inside of us. So this is the universe taking care of you, Melissa. And this is what eclipses are for. Sometimes they bring a great shedding. It's particularly a lunar eclipse in Pisces. I mean, seriously. This is so good for you, Melissa. I am so proud of you. Good job. You have done it. Look at that. I bet you start to feel better. You watch, Melissa. Don't give yourself a hard time. The fact that you're saying you went backwards, that part is wrong. Everything else was perfectly aligned. It was perfect just the way it was. You were supposed to process that. And thank God you had that moment to do that, because I bet, you need more than one time. Even if you cried when your son did die, when all the beeping and stuff was going on and all the doors opening and closing, I know what you're talking about. It's like a loud clicky sound. Yeah, like even if you cried the first time when your son did die, for some reason I keep wanting to say father, Melissa. It's interesting. That makes me think that your son. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, even if you cried in that moment that your son passed, you probably need to cry again, okay? And this is how we do it. When you come up against a trigger like that, this is why avoiding triggers, like people put trigger warnings on posts and things like that, that is not. It is, I mean, it's fine to avoid it until you're ready, I suppose, but that's not always the best approach. Avoiding how you feel, avoiding a trigger is not good for you, because then that is stored in your body and it will make you sick. It can cause cancer, it can cause heart disease, high blood pressure, anxiety, all kinds of physical symptoms, as well as repressed emotions that make you feel angry, frustrated, or on edge. It can mess with your hormones. Oh my gosh, Melissa. Congratulations, you were able to release that today. What a beautiful thing you did today. Just see tears. Tears are not a step backwards. Tears are a shower for your soul. Okay? Remember that, Melissa. Oh yeah, Megan says I always do that with my kids and did it with my foster kids. Yeah, exactly, Megan. You go off your senses, Close your eyes and do what you hear. Do you taste? What do you smell? Yes, exactly, Megan. And that's actually about 20 years ago. They were studying that practice. They classified it as CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. And it really does help with emotional regulation. Yep. And Shauna said that the stuff, the kombucha I encouraged her to drink is changing her life. I'm not surprised to hear that. Good jobs. Good job, Shauna. It has that effect on people. Now you know why it's kind of like a little cult. It's like thousands of people on YouTube, how to make your own kombucha and why to drink kombucha and why it's good for you. And it doesn't taste that bad. It smells funny, but it doesn't taste that bad. Alyssa, so I've not had a second's issue finding the doctors who don't think twice about hurting feelings to the point of causing harm. Ugh, sorry about that, Alyssa. Yeah, there's some that definitely will gaslight you. I don't like the gaslighting. That annoys me. Melissa said that she practiced several times driving through the hospital. It was all memories. Okay, that's okay, Melissa. Allow those memories, allow the emotion. Yeah, you have to let that emotion flow through you, Melissa. Super, super important. I'm sure you will feel better. And your dad died in 2020. I'm pretty sure he's with you, Melissa. Yeah, he's with your dad. Because I keep hearing your father at the same time. I was pretty sure it was two spirits. Yep. Yeah. Bianca said that she lost her son as well, Melissa. And when it's been a while since she's had a good cry, she feels worse. I would believe that. It even lowers your immune system to hold those emotions in. Yeah, and it's not really a beneficial thing. And Bianca said you can definitely subconsciously push it all down and it builds up. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it must, Bianca. And I think that's normal for any death, but I think when you lose your child or your spouse, and it's one thing when you lose your parent, but there's something else different about losing your child or your spouse for some reason. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just kind of a bigger impact or something. And I don't like to compare people's grief because, then there's also like sibling death, and then what happens when people like seem to have like 3 or 4 or 5 deaths like within just, like a year or so of each other. That's really hard. That's really hard when people go through that. So I hate to compare, and that's why. So you're welcome. You're welcome, Samantha. I'm glad that I could help you. And Suzanne over in the mediums group, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. All right. So like I said, ask direct questions. Ask direct questions. Grief is really hard sometimes. It's definitely can make you sick. It can cause things like lupus. It can cause things like fibromyalgia, anything where your immune system attacks itself, those kinds of like immune compromise type of things. It really messes with your gut, therefore, it messes with your immune system, and it tends to affect your hormones. So that kind of throws things off too. So, just going to say that if you wondered if grief makes you sick, it does actually. And that's all kinds of grief. That includes not just someone dying, but that could also be trauma, will make you sick. But sometimes people don't know that the trauma is making them sick because, well, they've been living with it since they were a child, right? And so then they live with it their whole life and they don't recognize that the trauma is making them sick. And then once they work through some of the trauma, they notice some of their health problems sort of take a back seat. So, um, um, I just want you to consider that, especially if you're struggling with the autoimmune disease, or anything like that. It could definitely be sending and you've experienced grief. I think the science shows that like 40% of widows, it's a number like that, like 40% of widows develop an autoimmune disease within a year of their partner's death, I think it is. So just saying. Just saying. Okay. Shauna said, what do you think planetary wise is going to happen with what's going on with the country? Okay, because I've been seeing a lot of videos. Okay, so what has been predicted by most astrologers, see, Shauna said that her autoimmune disease showed up 2 months after he died. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Melissa, Melissa, I encourage you to post it in the mediums group, along with like a little background for the people that weren't tuned in tonight. But you can totally tag me and tag anyone else that's interested and post the pictures of your moon. I would love to hear about it. Would love to hear about your experience through grief. Okay. Um okay. So, Shauna, I think there are different ways to approach the astrology that's happening right now. A lot of astrologers agree that the Trump administration probably will not finish his term. It probably won't get totally shut down until 2026. I will also mention that Donald Trump is having a Uranus return, which very few people live through. Now, will he die tomorrow or in 5 years? Nobody knows. But he probably will pass. Okay. I mean, he is 80. Okay. Um, but I doubt he'll survive only because he's showing some pretty strong health problems, but he could, I suppose. But there were some signs when he became president, and when he was sworn in, um, that shown Pluto at with the sun, and Pluto represents death or change. And sometimes we don't know if it's because someone's going to actually die or if it's just going to be massive change. Now, I will also mention that Pluto is in Aquarius. Okay, so every time a president is sworn in, the sun is in Aquarius, right? And that was actually done on purpose by the people that founded the United States. When we first started doing the swear-ins and stuff, there was an influence of astrologers that said you want the sun to be in Aquarius because Aquarius represents we the people. We the people, all of us as a collective together, okay? And this means that with Pluto in Aquarius, it kind of means that Pluto is saying we are going to transform as a collective. The whole collective is going to transform from being separated, controlled, manipulated, and lied to. And a lot of people are probably going to experience some awakenings where people are going to start to come together. And when people start to come together, that is when Pluto and Aquarius is really at play. Okay. And that's why you'll see me say all the time Pluto and Aquarius. And I think I talked about it when Donald Trump was sworn in. And I think I talked about it a lot after that to try to reassure all of you that we are on the right path. We are doing the thing. But the trick is right now, what needs to happen is that people need to come together. We need to recognize that we're all human beings and that love is all that matters, and we need to take care of each other. And we can't let these billionaires win. And so that's sort of the message right now. That's like that is the message of Pluto and Aquarius, because Aquarius believes in equality and for everyone to see each other equally and for everyone to be treated equally. Okay. And so that's what's happening right now with Pluto and Aquarius. That's the transit. All the kids that are born during this time, they will be born assuming Pluto's not retrograde at the time, they will be born when Pluto is direct in Aquarius in their chart. They will be born sort of fighters for equality. So it's happening. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was 240 years ago. So you can imagine that 240 years ago, maybe there were some big changes that needed to happen to help in the evolution of the human race, which 240 years ago was when the United States was founded. So when the founding fathers were driven to go against Britain, to write the preamble, to write the Constitution, to unite with the indigenous people and use their idea for the Constitution and the structure of our government, that is exactly what happened. And while there was still lots of war and bad things going on at the same time, right? Because the people that came over here, the colonists, were quite cruel to the indigenous people, but they were unaware that what they were doing was completely wrong. They knew it was unpopular, but they didn't know it was wrong, absolutely wrong. Okay? And so I think that required the last 240 years for us to come to the conclusion and understanding that just because a group of people have brown skin or speak a different language does not mean that they are lesser than the white people or the British or the right. Okay, so now we've recognized that, and the universe is in big huge transitions, right? Like we're in big huge cycles. We must think outside of just our own 40, 50, 60, 80 years of life, 90 years, and sometimes lucky 100 years of life. Some of us might live that long, and we have to think beyond that, because you will come back. You will come back again and again, several times. And in each time you come back, you are meant to shift the universe to be part of the evolution of the human race. Every single one of us has a role. And I would just say that while it feels really hard right now, the best thing you can do is get out to a protest, go to a protest, help support a protest. Notice if you're on my page, I post the protest. I say, I'm going to this protest. I encourage you to find a protest, because these are the things. This is Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is crossing the lines. Just the other day, I commented in a group and I realized that the woman that I complimented was probably conservative, but I complimented her and she actually didn't know what to do with that compliment. She said that no one's ever complimented her, particularly online. And I think she was also kind of saying, because I am who I am, why would I compliment her? So cross the lines, my friends. Cross the lines. But in my opinion, she was right. We were talking about parenting styles and what to do, okay? But I'm just saying that, like, don't separate yourself from people, especially the people. It's fine to say Donald Trump is not a great president or Donald Trump is not a good president. That's fine. I understand that. It's fine to demand the Epstein's files. In fact, I think that's going to be his biggest downfall. And I'm kind of laughing at it because I'm like, well, duh. I don't know why you lied about it to begin with, because I could have told you that that would be your downfall, because most 80% of people in the United States and in England and other developed countries, as much as 80%, possibly more, have suffered either themselves personally from childhood sexual trauma, or or they have someone very close to them that have. And so that is, most people have suffered that. So when you start to hear about the Epstein files, it's going to trigger you, even if you were normally a supporter of him. Should be enough to shake people. It will eventually shake them up. And as they walk away from that, I mean, there still might be a small amount of people that still support him, but what we need is a majority of people to not only not be supportive, but also to stand up, to go to the protests, to encourage people to go to the protests. And the more that that happens, the more likely he will crash. Okay? And that's the best approach. So do your part. Don't put your head in the sand. You can put your head in the sand after you encourage or cross a line or do something to help with the movement. Do your Pluto and Aquarius and then put your head in the sand and take a break and then pull it back out and do what you got to do. Okay? Bianca said, my husband recently had a dream where our son actually seemed to be the age he would be now. And he was driving the car in his dream. This is different. He normally appears to us younger. Okay. I wonder if this is an actual visitation. My dad, who is on this side but in bad health, was there also. I wonder. Oh, no, Bianca. When your dad passes, your son will be greeting him. That's what that is. Your son is telling your husband that he will be picking up your dad. That's why he's in a car and that's why he's driving. That's exactly what that is. They don't really age over there, but they can appear at any age to you. They can appear in the future, like at a future age or a past age or a current age, like what you're saying there. So, okay. So I'm pretty sure what he's saying there is when your dad passes, you should know automatically that your son is there to pick him up. Okay. He's going to pick him up. Isn't that reassuring to know that, since your dad is nearing the end of his life? Is October 18th the next? I'd have to look, Melissa, but what I will say is there's a great app called Mobilize. And that's a great way to know what protests are happening in your neighborhood, in your area. And it's called Mobilize, and it's Mobilize, Mobilize. Okay. And I think it's really helpful. It pretty much will have all the major protests and even smaller ones on there. And I think that's what you do, is you go. And if you can't go, contact the organizer and say, can I make signs for you? I can't go because I have this health challenge or I don't have a car. Yeah, exactly, Melissa. The name of the app is Mobilize, just like that. Yep, they also have a website, Mobilize. And you can contact the protest organizer and say, hey, I would like to make some signs. And let me just give you a little bit of advice of everything that I've been through. I'm 50 years old, so I helped protest for gay marriage. I was part of the Wall Street thing. For some reason, the movement has blanked out of my head. When they boycotted Wall Street. I think that was in the early 2000s. Anyway, I've been part of many protests over my life. And one of the things that I would say, okay, is that regardless of what protest you go to or how you participate, whether you make signs, whether you make food and deliver a dish to the people sitting overnight, that I did the Wall Street one was when we were camped out at the Capitol. People were camped out all night long, and a couple times I made dishes. I tried to make sure there were health people. I organized the nurses and doctors that were volunteering to be available in case a health thing came up. So there's a lot of different ways to participate in a protest. You don't always just have to go and be in the front lines and be the one getting arrested. And after you do it, you'll feel better. You will feel like you did what you could, even if it doesn't change immediately. The problem doesn't change immediately. Obviously, we're still having a problem with, billionaires, right? But Occupy. I was part of the Occupy movement. That's the one about Wall Street. Okay. It was called Occupy. You can look it up if you'd like. I was also part of the gay marriage movement. And now I'm part of this movement. Okay. And so what I would say to you is that if you're feeling frustrated with the government, if you're feeling frustrated with the politics, yes, exactly. We thought about it at the same time. So if you're feeling frustrated with politics, if you're feeling frustrated with the government, if you're feeling frustrated, get involved with a protest. Do whatever you can. Contact the organizer. Let them know that you're there and ask how you can help. Okay. Or just go. Just be one more head in the crowd because the heads are counted. They do count how many people show up at a protest, and it does matter. And the more you do that, when you come out of it, you'll say, even if it didn't change anything at that time, you say, I feel better because I did what I could. So then you won't roommate on the problem so much. And the next time, and you might right now, you might have to do every single protest for a while. You might have to make 100 signs, maybe you have, you can't really physically go out, but you could make lots of cardboard signs and someone will come pick them up. Okay? That's what you have to do. Just do it. When you do that, just like me talking to you right now, I'm telling you how to engage in activism that will help you feel like you're doing all you can in this moment that you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling like things are stopping you, right? You're feeling frustrated with the system. You're feeling like this is crazy, right? Okay, this is what we do. Cheryl said, hi, Laura. Laura over in the mediums group said hello. Mama Cole, so it's so true. I was bedridden, then began dealing with healing childhood trauma. Yep. So now Mama Cole feels better. She also said, yes, please do blood moons tonight. It's beautiful here in Florida. Just took pics. Okay. She wants to see your picture, Melissa. And the babies are super strong being born right now. Yes, they are. They are, Cheryl, for sure. And Cheryl said they're camping out every night at Alligator Alcatraz with peaceful vigils. Good. Yep. The Mikosuke natives have made a huge difference in its temporary shutdown. Good. Yes. Yes, you can make a difference. You can change things. You can make it hard for them. Make their approval letter go down more. Be one more head at the protest, even if you do what I do and stay way in the back and duck into the shade all the time. But I'm still one more head that knocked on mobilized that I was going to go. One more person that showed up to the protest because that's one more head, right? And usually I take Breadhawk, so that's two more heads, right? That's two more heads that showed up and you are contributing. All you have to do is go. That's what makes a difference because the more people that go, the more the people that support him will question themselves. Just like, have you ever had a whole group of people say that you're wrong and then you realize you're wrong? Okay? It's that simple. We just need more people. That's what you have to do is you just have to keep doing it. It matters. What you do matters. And if you need some inspiration, go read about Martin Luther King. Go read about the civil rights movement. Go watch some videos about Stonewall. Okay, look at Stonewall. Stonewall was just a bunch of trans and queer people who decided that they were sick of the police telling them who they could love, and they got mad and they fought back. And now look at what Stonewall has become. Stonewall is now Pride. And worldwide, we now celebrate Pride all over the world because of that small group of trans people. And it actually was just one trans woman that stood up to the cop. It was one trans woman that stood up to the cop, and then everyone backed her up. Okay? So, just saying, you never know your impact. Okay? In fact, let me share a little story because I've had the South Node on, and then I'm going to finish up for tonight. Okay? I've had the South Node on my son, literally. And the South Node is all about the past. Okay? And on my birthday, someone from a long time ago sent me a message. And she was a farmer that I worked with. I worked on lots of different farms, sustainable farms. And she said, "You know, Hollis, I am so grateful that I knew you. When I listened to your experiences and your description of what it felt like to be non binary and all of that, I had no idea what the impact would be. But when my kids came out as queer, it helped me be able to be 100% present for them. And all I was doing back then was coming out of the closet. I had no idea. I was just sharing my experience with this woman who I knew was a Christian, but she ran a farm and she seemed kind of open minded. She was listening to me, she wasn't shaming me, and she just made me part of her community, just like everybody else. And I just told her about my experience. And now look, now she has, I think, 3 queer children that she is so grateful to be 100% loving, supportive, and available for, right? It was almost as if spirit set it up so that I could open that door for those children, right? Because they were little they were babies when I met her. They were babies, okay? And now they're all like teenagers and stuff. So let me just say, you never know your impact. Did I know what I was doing at that time? Hells no. I didn't know. I was just doing what I do. I was just being me. And the next thing I know, I changed this woman's life. And I changed all of her children's experience as well. So remember that impact. Remember that you never know your impact. You never know what could come out of just being you. You just never know. So stay open. Listen to the messages. Listen to any messages coming through right now. Stay present, my friends. And I look forward to seeing you next week for Cosmic Wisdom. All right, everyone. All right, you guys. Good night.